Chapter 6: The Sinclairs Don't Forgive Betrayal. The Sinclair family had built their empire on control. Control over wealth, control over power, control over people, and Emma had just declared war on them. She knew the moment she chose to stay that William Sinclair wouldn't let it slide. A Sinclair did not forgive betrayal. They eliminated it. Emma woke to the sound of heavy breathing. She turned in bed, her heart lurching at the sight of Liam sitting up, his shoulders rigid, his head bowed. "Liam," she whispered, reaching for him. He flinched. Emma froze. "Hey," she said softly, "talk to me." Liam ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. "I had a dream." His voice was hoarse. "No, a memory." Emma sat up. "What kind of memory?" Liam's hands clenched into fists. "I was a teenager. My father was yelling. His breath hitched, frustration flickering across his face. It was right there, and then it was gone." Emma's stomach twisted. The drugs, the memory, it was happening again. She reached for his hands, holding them tightly. "We'll figure this out." Liam searched her face, his blue eyes stormy with uncertainty. "How do you know?" "Because I know what they're doing to you. Because I'm going to stop it." Emma swallowed hard and forced a smile. "Because I believe in you." Liam studied her, then let out a slow breath, his shoulders finally relaxing. He lifted her hand, pressing it to his lips. She melted against him, letting herself believe, just for a moment, that they were safe. They weren't. Emma barely made it down the staircase before she ran into Nathan. Literally. She stumbled, but he caught her wrist, his grip firm, his expression unreadable. "Careful, Mrs. Sinclair." There was something sharp in the way he said it. Emma yanked her arm back. "What do you want, Nathan?" Nathan smirked, but there was no... "You should have left when you had the chance." Emma's breath stalled. Nathan leaned in, his voice dropping. "My father doesn't give second warnings." Her pulse hammered, but she refused to let him see fear. "What exactly is he planning to do?" Nathan shrugged, stepping back. "Let's just say he doesn't need you around distracting Liam anymore." Emma's blood ran cold. He was going to erase her from Liam's life. For good. Nathan started to walk away, but Emma grabbed his arm. "Why are you telling me this?" For a second, something flickered in his eyes, something almost human. Almost regretful. Then it was gone. "Because I want to see what you'll do next." Emma locked the door to their bedroom, her mind racing. She needed a way out of this, a way to protect Liam before it was too late. Her eyes landed on Liam's desk, on the drawer she had never seen him open. Heart pounding, she rushed to it, tugging it open. Inside was a single folder, a legal document. Her stomach dropped. A contract for divorce, dated for the end of the year. Signed by Liam. Emma's heart clenched painfully. Of course, the plan was always to end this. But Liam hadn't remembered. And now, William was making sure he never would. Tears burned at the back of her eyes, but she blinked them away. This wasn't the time to break. She needed to act, because if William Sinclair was planning to erase her from Liam's life, then she would make sure Liam remembered her first. That night, Emma waited for Liam to return. When he finally did, looking exhausted but relieved to see her, she didn't hesitate. She needed him to feel it. Needed him to remember this moment, no matter what his father did. So she kissed him, not a gentle, careful kiss. A real one. A desperate, searing, this isn't fake kind of kiss. Liam tensed for half a second. Then he melted. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer, deepening the kiss until she felt dizzy. When they finally pulled apart, Liam cupped her face, breathless, his forehead resting against hers. "Emma," he whispered. "What are we doing?" She swallowed, her heart slamming against her ribs. "Something real." Liam's lips curved into a small, almost relieved smile. "Good." She exhaled shakily. "Promise me something." Liam's brows furrowed. "Anything." Emma clutched his shirt, her voice barely above a whisper. "Promise me that no matter what happens, you won't forget me." Liam's hands tightened on her waist. "Why would I ever forget you?" "Because someone is going to make you." Emma bit her lip and forced a smile. "Just promise me." Liam brushed his thumb over her cheek, his expression soft but determined. "I promise." Her chest ached, because she didn't know if it was a promise he'd be able to keep. Chapter 7, The Ultimate Betrayal. Emma had fought hard to keep Liam close, but she was about to lose him in the worst way possible. Not because she wanted to leave, but because Liam was about to push her away himself. The morning after this, Emma woke up to an empty bed. Liam was gone. A strange sense of unease settled in her stomach. She quickly got dressed and made her way downstairs, searching for him. She found him in the study, staring out the window, his back stiff. Something was wrong. Liam, she called softly. He turned, and her breath caught. His expression was different, distant, cold. Her heart pounded. Liam, what's wrong? Liam studied her for a long moment before speaking. You need to leave. Emma froze. What? Liam's jaw tightened. This marriage is over, Emma. The words sliced through her like a blade, her lips parted, searching his face, desperately trying to understand. Liam, what are you saying? We were never real. He cut her off. Emma took a step forward, but Liam stepped back, and that's when she saw it. A small glass of water on his desk, only half full. Her blood ran cold. The drugs. William did it. She clenched her fists. Liam, listen to me. Your father is... My father is right. Emma's breath caught. Liam's voice was flat, emotionless. I don't need you anymore. Her chest ached. You don't mean that. Liam's expression didn't waver. I do. He turned away, his voice final. Pack your things and leave. Emma felt something inside her break. This wasn't him. This was William Sinclair's ultimate move, and she was not going to let him win. Emma stormed out of the study, fury burning in her veins. Nathan was waiting in the hall, leaning casually against the wall, arms crossed. You look upset, he said lazily. Emma clenched her jaw. What did he do to him? Nathan smirked. Nothing permanent, just a little correction. Her stomach churned. How much did he take? Nathan shrugged. Enough to remind him what's important. Emma's vision blurred with anger. You mean enough to make him forget me? Nathan's smirk didn't waver. You should leave while you still can, Emma. She stepped closer, voice trembling. You know this isn't right. Something flickered in Nathan's expression. Doubt, but then it was gone. This is how it's always been, he said quietly. Emma's heart twisted. Nathan wasn't just a pawn in William's game. He was a victim too. But she couldn't save them both. Not yet. She turned on her heel and ran. Emma barged into the master bedroom, throwing open drawers, grabbing anything she could, not because she was leaving, because she was staying. If William Sinclair thought she was going to walk away, he underestimated just how far she was willing to go for Liam. She dug through Liam's desk, searching there. The medical reports. She yanked them out, her hands shaking as she read. Doses, dates, proof. She clutched the papers, her pulse racing. This was it. This was how she would bring down William Sinclair. A knock at the door made her jump. Liam. He stepped inside, his face blank. You're still here. Emma hid the papers behind her. I'm not leaving. Liam exhaled sharply. Emma, do you love me? She interrupted. Liam blinked. She stepped closer. You told me you loved me, Liam. Do you still feel it? Something flickered in his eyes. Hesitation. Emma's heart pounded. Fight it, Liam. Fight him. Liam swallowed, looking away. I don't remember. The words shattered her, but she refused to give up. She grabbed his hand, forcing him to look at her. You do remember. You promised me. Her voice cracked. You promised you wouldn't forget me. Liam's breathing hitched. His fingers twitched around hers. For a moment, Emma hoped she was breaking through. Then he let go and walked away. Emma's knees nearly buckled. She clutched the medical reports, inhaling shakily. If Liam couldn't fight for himself, then she would fight for him. And if William Sinclair wanted a war, he was about to get one. Emma sat in the dimly lit guest room, staring at the evidence she had gathered. The medical reports, the security footage, the prescriptions. All proof of how William Sinclair had manipulated Liam's mind. And yet, none of it mattered if Liam refused to believe her. Her hands clenched into fists. She had come too far to let William win. Liam was still in there. Somewhere beneath the cold, distant mask, the man she loved was fighting to come back to her. A knock at the door made her sit up straight. Nathan. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, expression unreadable. You should leave, Emma. You're only making this harder on yourself. She met his gaze without flinching. Tell me something, Nathan. Do you really believe in what your uncle is doing? Do you think this is right? Nathan's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Emma stepped closer. You know he's lying. You know Liam loves me. But William's drugged him, manipulated him into forgetting, just like he's done to everyone who's ever defied him. Nathan hesitated. Even if that's true, what does it change? Liam's already made his choice. Emma's heart ached. No, William made it for him. She swallowed hard. But I'm not giving up on him, and neither should you. Nathan exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. There's a way to reverse it, but it won't be instant. The drug doesn't just erase memories, it buries them. He looked at her, eyes heavy with something almost like guilt. If you want Liam to remember, you have to trigger his memories, not by telling him, by making him feel them. Emma's breath caught. She had one last chance, and she wouldn't waste it. Emma found Liam in the ballroom, alone. His posture was rigid, his back to her as he poured himself a drink. He looked so much like the man she had first agreed to this fake marriage with. Controlled, unreadable, untouchable. But she had shattered that mask once before. And she would do it again. She stepped forward. "Dance with me." Liam stiffened, his grip tightening on the glass. "Emma, go back to your room." She ignored him and reached for his hand. He didn't pull away, but he didn't react either. So she led him to the center of the empty ballroom. She placed his hands where they belonged, one on her waist, the other clasping hers. And then she swayed. For a long moment, Liam didn't move. Then, slowly, instinctively, he followed. Emma's heart pounded as they moved together, the music only in her mind. "Do you remember the first time we danced here?" she whispered. Liam's brow furrowed. "No." Emma's fingers tightened around his. "It was after our engagement party. We were pretending, just like always. But then you held me closer, and you whispered in my ear that, for the first time, it didn't feel fake anymore." Liam inhaled sharply. Something flickered in his gaze, like a shadow of a forgotten dream. Emma pressed on. "You told me I was the only thing that felt real in your life, that I made you feel free." Liam's grip on her waist tightened. His breathing changed, shallower, uneven. Emma swallowed the lump in her throat. "You kissed me that night, Liam, not because you had to, but because you wanted to." His steps faltered. His fingers trembled in hers. "Stop." Emma's heart clenched. "No, you need to remember." Liam's hands suddenly let go, and he stepped back, shaking his head. His face was pale, his breathing ragged. I can't." Emma took his hand and pressed it against her racing heart. "Feel this. You know me, Liam. You know us." Liam's eyes squeezed shut. He looked like he was in pain, as if something deep inside him was clawing to get out. Then, flashes. Not words, not clear memories, just flashes. Emma's laugh, the warmth of her body in his arms, the way she had looked at him the night of their engagement party, the taste of her lips when he had finally given in. His head throbbed, his chest ached. Emma. Her name fell from his lips like a prayer. His eyes opened. And this time when he looked at her, there was something different in them. Recognition. Liam stumbled back, running a hand through his hair. I remember. Emma's breath hitched. "You do?" "Not everything," he admitted, his voice rough. "But enough." He turned back to her, his expression raw, full of conflict. "I don't understand how I could forget you." Tears welled in her eyes. "Your father made you forget." Liam's entire body tensed at the mention of William. His hands curled into fists. "I let him control me." His voice shook with anger, at himself, at his father, at everything that had been stolen from him. But not anymore. Emma stepped closer, her fingers reaching for his. "We still have a choice, Liam. We can walk away from all of this. Together." Liam looked at her, truly looked at her, and for the first time in months, his heart knew what it wanted. He exhaled, his fingers threading through hers. "You're right. We leave. We start over. But before we do," his grip on her tightened. The final stand." The next morning, Liam walked into his father's office, Emma at his side. William Sinclair barely looked up from his desk. "I see you've come to your senses," he said smoothly. Liam's voice was steady. "I have." William finally glanced up and faltered. Because for the first time in his life, Liam wasn't afraid of him. He dropped a stack of documents onto the desk. William's gaze flickered over them. "What is this?" "Your confession," Liam said calmly. "Everything you've done, fraud, manipulation, medical tampering, the drugs you used on me, it's all here." William's face darkened. "You have no proof." Nathan stepped into the room, arms crossed. "Actually, we do." William's mouth thinned. Emma stepped forward. "It's over." Liam met his father's gaze. "You controlled me my whole life, but from now on, I make my own choices." And just like that, the Sinclair dynasty began to fall. Days later, Liam and Emma stood in front of the house they had chosen together, far from the mansion, from the past, from everything that had tried to break them. Liam laced his fingers with Emma's. "Are you ready?" Emma smiled, leaning into him. "With you? Always." As they walked inside, the sun setting behind them, Emma knew one thing for certain. Liam had chosen her. not because of obligation, not because of a contract, but because even when he had forgotten everything, his heart had never forgotten her. Epilogue. 1 year later. The morning light filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a golden glow over the cozy kitchen. The scent of fresh coffee filled the air as Emma leaned against the counter, watching the man she loved move effortlessly through their home. Liam, dressed in a simple t-shirt and pajama pants, stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with a look of deep concentration. Emma couldn't help but smile. I never thought I'd see the day when Liam Sinclair would be making breakfast. Liam smirked, glancing over his shoulder. You say that like I don't have incredible domestic skills. Emma raised an eyebrow. You burned the toast yesterday. Liam turned back to the stove, muttering, That was sabotage. Emma chuckled, stepping closer and wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. She rested her cheek against his back, feeling his warmth, his heartbeat. It had been a year since they had walked away from the Sinclair empire, leaving behind the lies, the manipulation, and the weight of expectations. A year of freedom, of rediscovery, of love. And Liam, he had changed, or maybe he had become who he was always meant to be. Gone was the man who lived for power, controlled by a father who saw him as nothing more than a pawn. This Liam was softer, freer, happier, and she loved him more for it. You know, Liam mused, flipping the last pancake onto the plate, I was thinking, it's been a year. Emma pulled back slightly. Since? Liam turned, setting the plate down and leaning against the counter. Since I remembered you. A lump formed in Emma's throat. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. And I was also thinking, maybe it's time we make new memories. Her heart pounded as Liam pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. Emma froze. Liam, he opened it. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, but unmistakably them. Liam's voice was steady, filled with quiet certainty. We started this whole thing with a contract, with lies, with pretending. He took a deep breath. But this is real. You are real, and I want forever with you. Emma felt tears sting her eyes, her heart swelling with so much love it almost hurt. She didn't need time to think. She had known her answer from the moment he had looked at her in that ballroom, when he had remembered her not with his mind, but with his heart. Emma smiled through her tears. Yes. Liam exhaled a breath of relief, grinning as he slid the ring onto her finger. Then, without another word, he pulled her into his arms, kissing her deeply, no longer out of duty or pretense, but out of love. And as they stood there, wrapped in each other, Emma knew this was only the beginning. And that, dear viewers, is the end of our story. Emma and Liam's journey from lies to love, from heartbreak to healing. We've seen them battle their past, fight for each other, and ultimately find their true freedom. What a roller coaster, right? If you've enjoyed every twist, turn, and tear along the way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more heart-pounding romance, mystery, and drama. Subscribe for more epic love stories. Be sure to like, share, and comment below. Tell us which moment from Emma and Liam's story touched your heart the most. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay tuned for more stories that will leave you breathless, because love is always just one chapter away. See you soon.